Hi, thanks for joining me in the supplementary part of the message. The main message is the thing you need to have listened to or watched before this. Also, recommend that you have a Bible to hand. You want it with a thumbprint or a piece of paper or something stuck in Matthew chapter 13 at verse 44. And you'll also want 2 Corinthians chapter 4. So that's where we're working from. If you don't have a Bible, you can find those passages by searching online for them. Years ago, Pastor Ed Dobson, of blessed memory, made a generous mistake when he invited me to preach in his church in Michigan. It's a mega church, and they count their membership, their congregation, by the thousand. It was quite an experience to go and be part of their scene for a Sunday and a couple of days either side. And Ed, I really regret losing contact with him. He developed the wasting disease, ALS, and it was awful. Ed was a man of deep integrity, and he and a true pilgrim on the Christian journey. And he was courageous enough to go where his journey took him, and that some made him very unpopular with some people, but he followed anyway where the Spirit led him, and the world is the richer for it. But it was words that his friend, Pastor Clifton Rhodes Jr., said that are echoing for me when I've been sharing and preparing the message today. Um, Clifton Rhodes said that although he and Ed were both dying of this wasting disease and would die soon, he said the real treasure can't be damaged. And I felt that he in saying that, he was drawing upon this great wealth of stuff, primarily from 2 Corinthians chapter 4, Paul's image of treasure in jars of clay, but also what lies behind that in the teaching of Jesus, where the images of treasure and true wealth compared to what passes for treasure and wealth in the world are very much a strong theme. I wanted to share in my main message some stuff about the economy, because it's a time when the UK and many other countries are looking at how do we restart the economy, how do we get the economy going, what's going to happen to people in a world recession, etc. Well, we all need economy. Economy is not bad. If you are in lockdown, somebody needs to do the shopping. You can't just go into lockdown and not take part in the economy. You need to eat. So that there is a judgment to be made for all leaders of countries as to how to balance the human good of a healthy economy or of a restarted economy and the human good of protecting people from rapid spread of the virus. And sometimes the conversation is being had in such a way you think it's, well, is it economy or is it health and well-being? And I want to say that's a false equation, and that question doesn't exist. You see, economy is not bad. It's a good and godly thing if we remember that nobody is on this earth to serve anybody else's economy. None of us are servants of economy. Economy is to serve us. Economy is about how human beings share resources, gifts, abilities, services they can render, etc., in fair and equitable ways for the good of all, the common good. And so I think it's a really critical time. Wouldn't it be great if the Christian understanding of this could inform policymakers? If more voters were aware of it, and just it's kind of common sense, just stepping back, and it's not exclusive to Christians, but just stepping back and going, well, wait a minute, I'm not here to serve the economy, and neither are you. Nobody is. The economy is a way of serving the common good, or it's a rubbish economy. If it leaves people hungry, it's a rubbish economy. if it is unjust, is a useless economy. It's not functioning. It is broken. It's useless. It's helping some, but it's not helping the rest. So it is an important time for us to go, oh, look, we are in a particular and unusual situation, but it gives us the chance to look freshly and reassess where we're going. And we'd be so silly to pay such a high price of human suffering that coronavirus is bringing and not learn the lessons and help our politicians to steer us towards a good future too. And it's the week when in the UK we've had VE Day, which reminds us that peace is better than war, cooperation is better than enmity, and working together is a sacred goodness between the countries of the earth, working towards the common good of all. The other thing that I mentioned that I think coronavirus is highlighting for us is a chance to reevaluate your own life and what you're living for, and what other people are worth as living beings, and a chance to see that, yes, we are all jars of clay, and the clay will crack and break and fracture and go to dust. It will, sooner or later, but it will. But life is here for the flourishing. Life is here for the discovery of the treasure. Paul's situation was difficult. I think he relates best to the first of the two parables. In the first of the parable, there's a man who's working in a field and he comes across treasure. He hadn't gone looking for it, it's just there. And he comes across it completely by accident. And so he has to now decide what he's going to do about it. Now, the second parable is of somebody who is intentionally looking for treasure, and when they come across it, they need to know what to do about it. I think Paul fits the first one best because Paul was somebody who was not looking for the kingdom of heaven. He was not looking for Jesus. He was trying to stamp out the name of Jesus by being a persecutor of the church when he stumbled across treasure. And then he had to decide what to do about it. And it reminds me a little bit of, in a very different way, of my own situation. I don't seem to be a very spiritual person. I wasn't going through life looking for treasure in this sense at all. I was doing something completely different. My mind wasn't on it when I stumbled across treasure. I've never understood it. But most, probably you, are more spiritual, are more naturally thoughtful perhaps, and perhaps searching for the purpose of life, the meaning of your existence and so on. It doesn't matter which you are, is the point, the pair of parables. Whichever you are, you fit. For Paul, there was this problem, though. He had been and was originally a persecutor of the church, and therefore he was in a kind of weakened situation once he was unpopular by any church folk, because sooner or later they could bring up the subject of what he had been. But I think what shows up most in 2 Corinthians is just his struggle, a passionate struggle as a pastor to say, I know you don't like me very much. I know some of you think I'm complete rubbish as a preacher and a teacher, and that you'd really be best off just ignoring me and following some other leaders. But there's a treasure you need, and I've still got some treasure. That's the message of the gospel. You still need more, and I still need to give it to you. So please don't pay attention to the container, the outside. Don't be deceived by that. I'm not claiming to be anything special. I'm really not. But I do need to tell you some home truths, and I do need to ask you to listen to me. I'm very moved by Paul when I think about it, actually. Not always moved by Paul. I don't think I'd have got on well with him as a personality, but I see here something of his heart for people, and his heart for the church, and his heart for the message of the gospel of Jesus. And he just wants to share it, so he has this image. Very powerful the way he sets it up. He talks first about the creation at the very beginning of everything, and the importance of light. Said it's the God who can do things like command that light exists, and so light exists. The God who can command whatever processes are needed, that God is calling to you and saying, I have treasure to put in your clay jar. In fact, my image is already in you. And this combination of me digging in to find and bring up to the surface what's already in you that's so good, and the extras that I can pile in, you just don't want to miss it. So the people in the parable had to make their mind up about how they were going to respond to what they'd found, and so do you. So my friend Ed Dobson, he died a while back, and his friend Clifton Rhodes Jr., pastor of another church in the same city, Grand Rapids, speaking about him. And as Clifton Rhodes was preparing to die, he said, Ed's clay is cracking. I mean, Ed by that time was unable to move himself at all, and it's a horrible disease. And Pastor Rhodes is saying, my clay is cracking. I know how this goes. I've seen it in my friend. But the real treasure can't be damaged. When somebody who is in those stages of a wasting disease that they know will kill them, who has watched their close buddy die in a very bad way, to be able to say, but the real treasure can't be damaged, that's something. That in itself is treasure. And I hope you capture a flavour of that truth and can be a treasure seeker in the truest sense, or a treasure discoverer, and that you'll want to see others also flourish and discover treasure in them too. Wouldn't it be great if the Christian church was marked by the way we look at people and the treasure within? God bless you. Thanks for sharing this Sunday.